Hey guys, so this is a bit of a different video. Today I've got Davey here with me, and he's essentially had 22 years off of playing ice hockey. He's back playing, and what I thought would be great is if he runs through like the top 10 things that he wishes that he knew before getting back into hockey as an adult. So if you're an adult, you've not played in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is, and you're thinking of getting back into the game, here's some points that will probably be helpful for you to know prior to that happening. And of course, if you're new to hockey, as an adult, you're thinking of playing, there'll be some relevant information in this video too. So Davey, just tell us who you are and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Davey, I'm 36. Like Chris said, I've not been playing for 22 years, and I never played at a high level anyway. It was literally under 14s, and then just...
Under 14s, he's from
under
Essex.
14.
See, look, the Canadians and the Americans aren't going to get it, because the way I speak is very different to, even though we grew up in the same place.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Under 14s.
Under 14s, enunciate.
Yeah, exactly, right. So under 14s was the last time I played. So yeah, 22 years ago exactly.
Okay.
I've been back on the ice, scrimmage 5 times maybe, 5, 6 times.
Just over a month.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's what I wanted to do is, like, if you had to have like 10 things that you wish you knew prior to this, what would be the first thing that coming back into the game you were like, what the hell? Like, I didn't expect this. What would that be?
I think the main thing would be the equipment, the cost of the equipment.
Yeah.
And the change of the equipment.
Okay.
It's been, again, 22 years.
Yeah.
So the last time I played with an actual stick, a wooden stick. So
that's changed.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
So obviously the everything that's got into the equipment now is completely different. So I'm having to start off right from the beginning. And obviously with the information that's out there, as well as what Chris is giving out as well.
Yeah, if only there was a resource for you to go to learn
exactly.
about
It's hard,
all of
right?
the equipment changes, right? I wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
No, it's hard, right?
No, for sure. But I think this is the point. It's not just the fact that it's changed in what manufacturers are available now. It's changed in terms of the quality of it. Because
yeah,
when he came over to mine and he wanted me to sharpen his skates on the Sparks, he handed me a pair of actual Nike skates, not Bauer written anywhere on them, Nike.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't use those. And he's like, why? Like, they're perfectly fine. And I was explaining, like, you can crush the side of the skate's construction with your fingers. It was almost like an old school leather skate.
Basically, that's exactly
yeah, if you tried to do a punch turn on the ice with that, you'd probably break your ankle.
Exactly.
So like, a lot has changed. So that makes sense, the equipment being number one. Of course, I think what would be good is if we did an updated video on the changes with like what you need to know as a beginner or someone coming back to hockey with skates and also sticks, just to kind of refresh that. Because I've done one, any relevant videos that will help you guys out will be linked down below. So that's point number 1 and 2.
Yep.
And what would you say was the third one that kind of caught you completely off guard?
I think the availability now.
Yeah.
The difference now to back then is that there's so many teams just at one rink, and the way that they bring people in, whether you're new to it as an adult or as a child anyway, they embrace you really, really well. Whereas back when we was playing, it was so hard to even get into a clique. Because if you wasn't as good as what they are, you're not going to get in whatsoever.
Yeah, I remember hockey being like Fight Club, we were saying when we were talking on the phone. It's on a need-to-know basis, and I don't know what it's like in other countries, but back when I was trying to start getting into hockey in my early 20s, it wasn't as easy as it is now. Like, even us finding a new scrimmage to join was a matter of sending a couple of text messages or some Facebook pages, and it was really, really quick to get back in.
This is it. This is it. And that's the main thing. I think that's the encouragement as well, that for people to get in, that even though it's a small community, obviously, as we all know in the UK anyway, but you're definitely able to get into some sort of team, whether it is just training in general, opposed to actually making the team.
Yeah.
That's definitely important to know, because again, it just encourages people to get on the ice.
Fair play.
Obviously, getting into the teams is going to be a lot easier now than it was back then, because of the amount of teams there are.
Yeah.
And obviously that comes into play with regards to ice time.
How did you find that, like, because obviously every time you jump on a beer league session or a rec session, you've got to pay for ice. Everyone contributes towards the cost of ice. How did you find that pricing for you?
Surprisingly pretty good.
Really?
I didn't mind it, to be fair.
Fair.
Yeah, it depends on where you go. Though,
okay, fair.
Because everyone's going to have their own different prices.
Yeah.
But
I think it's quite high, like with what we pay, but we get 2 hours.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
I think before I was used to 1 hour.
Yeah.
So you expect it for the same price in your head. It just seems like it's double the price, but you're getting double the ice.
That's it. And it obviously depends on your abilities as well. So if you're starting off right at the beginning, as in learning to play and stuff like that, you're not going to be paying a higher rate anyway. So I think it's flexible for that reason as well, to get into, encourage to get in. But yeah, without that side of things, the only other time you can get on the ice is public skate.
Yeah,
You know, and relatively, with regards to the amount of hours you can get on the public skate, with regards to the fees, isn't too bad. But again, there's a difference between the fact that you can't use a stick and a puck, and you can just skate.
We'll definitely touch on that. And also, from the ice time side of things, what was it like actually getting back onto the ice with the team in terms of your performance and your ability? So like, do you think much has changed with the way players move on the ice, the drills that they do on the ice, just like your overall experience getting back? What did anything catch you off guard?
There is, I think, the abilities now.
Yeah.
There's definitely crazy players out there.
Yeah.
And that's just who we've played with,
Yeah.
to be fair. And obviously there's so many more out there. Yeah, I think for me personally, I can, again, step off for 22 years, get back on, and I'm still okay. Obviously, I'm still going to be rusty, but I'm confident that the fact that I can get to where I want to be. But then being along with 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and what they're doing now to what I was able to do, is a bit daunting.
Yeah, it's very different.
It is very
because you had
different.
like tight turns and stuff like that, but I think when you were on the ice, no one was doing punch turns,
No.
like stuff like
No,
that.
no,
Everything's
not at
become
all.
more like it's even more explosive, even more
Yes.
start-stop.
Exactly that.
And I guess it's the ability of players, like younger players, has jumped leaps and bounds from maybe what it was like
100%.
22 years ago.
100%,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly
like
that.
Conor McDavid probably wasn't even born then. I'm joking, guys. I know how old he is. I'm joking.
No, but you're right though. You're right. The elite that's coming in now is completely different to the level that we was playing at.
So like that's another thing to keep in mind. Like just the technical aspect of the game has changed significantly.
100%,
Yeah.
especially with the younger ones anyway. You know, I think when you get into adulthood and you're still learning to play or what have you, it's completely different. But getting in as a kid, it's definitely a high level. Definitely is a high level. But again, you are able to get in. You are able to train. You might not play, of course, but you're able to have the facility there to be able to actually progress and get where you want to get to.
That's fair.
So with regards to the fitness side, obviously everyone knows that as soon as you're playing sport, there's got to be an element of fitness.
Yeah.
And again, today's level is completely different because you can look across the board to any sport and even just sort of weightlifting and stuff like that. There's so many different techniques now.
Knowledge is become,
Well, 100%. Yeah, exactly that. So, like we were saying earlier, that we could go to the gym and do leg day, but that's not going to help you in hockey because you're using a completely different part of the muscle.
in a different way.
Exactly
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
like when we went to Nordic Centre, all of the movements and workouts that you did in terms of your training off the ice was specifically targeted to the way you move on the ice.
Yes.
So instead of just a deadlift or a squat, it was like an explosive version of that move.
Exactly that.
And you were moving in the same angles as you would be on the ice. Like
That's the main
think
point.
knowledge has really, really grown and increased.
Yeah.
And obviously 22 years ago, the social media platforms that we have weren't available then,
No.
and we're better connected. The way England did it is now different because you have access to videos and information and coaches that are in Sweden, in Finland, in Russia, in America, in Canada. So everyone's better connected. So the information and the techniques are being shared better than they would have been before. Obviously, coaches 22 years ago would be getting on planes, but now what's happening is you'll see a coach on Instagram and be like, I want that coach to come to my session.
Yeah.
And they'll fly him out.
That's exactly
So
it.
it's a very, very
the
different game
accessibility
today.
for these type of coaches.
Technique,
and
information, the resources are
this is
through
it.
the roof.
So like you say, back then we couldn't have access to what the NHL players would have, for example. And now just by that communication,
Yeah.
it's literally just a jump on the plane. It might not be as easy as saying that, but essentially it's still there.
It's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and I think also another aspect of it that gets left out is going to be the actual fitness element of it, because I hadn't been playing scrimmages and training for a while. Like the videos kind of consumed my life, and that's a whole other video I could do about hockey almost not becoming fun again, and then me falling back in love with it right now.
Yeah.
Get on the ice, you do a scrimmage, 4 strides, gassed.
You're out. You're
Gassed.
completely out.
It's like, and I've been running. Do you know what I mean? And it's completely different. I couldn't believe how out of shape for hockey I was when I started playing again.
And that's the difference between hockey and any other sport. Obviously there's no disrespect to any other sport, but hockey is a different game.
It's insanely difficult.
It really, really is. So yeah, I think your stamina, your agility has got to be up there with, obviously other techniques anyway, but to be able to stay on the ice. And at the end of the day, you're only on the ice for about a minute and a half max. every single.
But you need to be going.
But you need to be
out.
100%, 100%. So yeah, the fitness is, you can't take it lightly whatsoever. You know, you have to put more effort into your fitness, I reckon, than being on the ice.
I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. Like a lot of the guys that we're on the bench with when we're at the scrimmage on Monday, you sat there and you're like, I'm gassed. I don't feel like I should be gassed now.
Yeah.
Like you do a drill and be like, why can't I breathe?
This is it, exactly.
So that's one of the elements that you have to kind of pick back up on. And that leads really nicely onto ability, because I think something that people get twisted is if you can skate really well, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to pick up a stick and then because your skating's good, you can just focus on the stick handling. No. It's completely different.
No,
like what was your take on that?
It's absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, my ability of skating in general, people might think is pretty good, but as soon as I've got a stick and a puck in the hand, it completely changes your skating, because you can't think of what your feet are doing.
Yeah.
You can't. You just have to do it. It's got to be second nature to you.
Yeah, you've almost got to learn to skate for hockey, not learning to skate to be good at skating.
Exactly.
They're two different sports.
Completely different. It just changes, because obviously your position is changing. The way your body is holding the stick and being on the puck changes to what you would normally do if you're just skating without it. So yeah, it definitely changes the aspect. So
I think for that, what I'd say is don't bother with public skating sessions. I'd say just get straight to a basic scrimmage where they're doing drills.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, if you can skate at the end of the day, then yeah, don't worry about getting on the ice for a public skate. If you're still learning to skate, then of course, jump on the ice as much as you need. But essentially, you still need to
for hockey.
Basically, that's what it is. Just learn to skate for hockey.
And obviously, I think another element of it is you can't always get on the ice. What was available for you 22 years ago for you to be able to use off the ice in terms of
nothing,
like products to train with?
Nothing at all. We go back even a few years. That there was still limited amount then, but now there's so many available products out there that you can actually use that's pretty similar to being on the ice, close enough.
Yeah.
You go back to sort of the green biscuits and the shooting pads and
stuff
like
like now
that.
There's synthetic ice, there's the puck around pucks, there's a lot of stuff.
And we didn't even think that was even possible back then when we was playing.
Yeah.
So it's all out there for you. You just need to be able to be in a position to get that as well as the encouragement. Of
course. Now, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for you coming back to the game? If there was like one sort of like wrap of like a conclusion that you could give everyone watching, what would it be?
Don't think too highly of yourself. You've got to start off back at the beginning again.
Yeah.
Again, obviously, like getting back on the ice, can skate pretty okay and use a stick and a puck pretty okay, but again, I'm nothing compared to a lot of the others. And at the same time, you've still, even as much as it's a team game, you've got to realise that there's an individual aspect to it as well. So you just need to put, and I need to put a lot more effort into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like I say to a lot of people in general anyway, that if you're not falling, if you're not making mistakes, then you're not going to be able to progress. Because to fall, you're failing. And the only way that you can move forward is by failing and correct that. You can't move forward if you've got everything right.
That's it.
So yeah, if you're making sure that you're falling over all the time, making the mistakes, obviously not on purpose, but if you are making these mistakes, making sure that you're hitting your targets and you're practicing, and don't even get embarrassed by falling over. I think that was a big problem back then as well. If you fell over, everyone just assumed that that they're laughing at you or they're taking the mick out of you and stuff like that. It isn't the case at all.
Yeah, if you fall, you learn them.
Exactly.
That's
exactly
fair.
that.
That's fair. All right, and then the last one was just a touch on the equipment, about finding stuff that fits, etc. Like how you went through different skates and da.
Yeah, exactly. So back then there wasn't the availability of the skates or the sticks per se. But now there's just so many different varieties to be able to...
It's kind of like a catch-22 because there's only a few brands, but they all do quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I think before it was kind of like the lines weren't as distinct as they are now. Like how Bauer has 2 lines, CCM has 2 lines, Warrior has a few lines.
Yeah.
It was much more kind of clean cut.
Yeah.
So there is more option, but there's, I guess, fewer brands available. And obviously in the UK back then, 22 years ago, there wasn't many shops that stocked a ton of stuff.
No,
so that's another element. But what was your process like finding skates that didn't hurt your feet and protective you didn't have to think about that was on your body?
I think at the end of the day, you just have to try them. You don't know at the end of the day. Obviously not saying to go out and buy £1,000 worth of skates
going to
and
a
stuff.
store.
It's 100%.
Or
you need
knowing somebody that's well connected.
Yeah, I need to find one of those.
Equipment.
Right? But
it's lucky for some, isn't it? I'm joking. No, I'm not joking.
No, it's not. It's not at all. So, some of us are obviously fortunate in that way, but I'm sort of now reaping the benefits of what I sort of started.
Yeah, we've not even told that story. That'll be another video, but essentially he claims to be the one that taught me how to skate, even though some people might say I can't skate. I don't know where Tommy is, because he'd have a field day with that comment.
That's coming from semi-professional players.
Yeah, that's
all right.
true.
So I'm not going to take that, because they're way above our level right now.
If they want to hear that story, comment down below, we'll let them know, but we've known each other for a long time. We went to the high school together.
This is it. So what, we was 11 years old.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
25 years.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, any of the videos that we've done in the past, first things you should know about sticks, or like watch this video before you buy any type of stick, learning about the flex, the lie, the different curves, the different brands that are available. I'll link that video down below. It's quite old. Maybe we need to reshoot that with the brands that are available now, because quite a few things have changed. We've done the same thing with skates as well. Everything that you need to know about skates, that'll be down below as well. If there's any videos that you feel would be beneficial for this type of a subject in terms of protective, helmets, gloves, comment down below and let us know what you want to see, so we can create the videos that will kind of like help you find your path in hockey in terms of the equipment that you need, and also the information that you might want to know before you step onto the ice. But I appreciate you sharing your points.
No, of course.
As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you want to see from this guy in terms of his journey back into the game, in terms of his progress. I think you and Tommy are going to be doing some like shooting analysis type stuff, where he's going to look at your shot and see what needs to be improved and what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right.
Exactly. Yeah, we're basically going to go through everything.
Yeah.
So you will see me falling over. You'll see me doing transitions that don't look right, but again, at the end of the day, nothing's going to be right at the end. Like being off the ice for 22 years. So we're going to try and perfect to an extent everything of what I'm doing. So there will be plenty of videos and a long time coming to see where we can actually get to.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see the speed it takes you to go from all right, finding your feet, to confident. Because obviously that's going to be different for different people based on your ability.
Exactly.
But I think it'll be a cool thing to follow. And if you guys want to see that, comment down below and let us know. Anything else?
No, I think that's all good.
All right, that's it, man. And as always, quick side note, if you want to pick up the training jerseys, the scrimmage jerseys, down below. See you in the next video.